Welcome to latest News Blaster. When Billy Graham passed away in 2018 at age 99, the world believed it had said goodbye to a man whose life, ministry, and moral consistency were fully known. For decades, scholars, historians, and believers assumed the great evangelist had left no mysteries behind. His sermons were public, his travels well documented, and his legacy firmly planted in the American spiritual landscape. But today, years after his death, a discovery inside a quiet library archive in North Carolina has shaken millions, reopening conversations about the private spiritual world of a man who spent his entire life speaking to the masses. This is the story of the newly uncovered secret that has stunned the world, a discovery hidden in plain sight. The revelation began when archivists at the Billy Graham Library started digitizing old, sealed collections that had never been opened. The boxes were logged decades ago but marked with a curious phrase in Billy Graham's own handwriting, "Not to be opened until long after I am gone." Inside these boxes were journal entries, handwritten letters, private reflections, and unrecorded prayers, documents that showed a side of Billy Graham that the world had never seen. It wasn't scandal, it wasn't contradiction, it was something far more human and far more surprising. The secret no one expected. The uncovered writings revealed that Billy Graham carried a lifelong private struggle he never shared publicly, a deep fear that he had not done enough, despite preaching to over 215 million people across 185 countries. In one journal entry dated 1965, he wrote, "The world believes I am strong, but I spend nights awake, wondering if my voice is truly reaching the broken in the way God intends." This private vulnerability stunned archivists. The man known internationally as the boldest evangelist of the modern era had quietly wrestled with self-doubt and an unending burden of responsibility. But the secret went even deeper: the letters he never sent. Among the papers was a set of 17 letters addressed to various world leaders, religious skeptics, and even entertainers. Letters he wrote but never mailed. One was addressed to a well-known atheist author he had admired for his honesty, in which Billy Graham wrote, "I do not fear your questions. In truth, I share many of them." Another was written to a president whose name was withheld. "The world sees us as opposites, preacher and politician. But I pray for you not because of your power, but because of your loneliness." These letters show a man who, despite worldwide fame, carried a quiet, sensitive awareness of the spiritual condition of others. He never mailed the letters because, as he wrote in a margin, "Perhaps these words are best left between God and me." A hidden project he never revealed. The most shocking discovery was a manuscript, nearly complete, titled "The Burden of the Messenger." It was a deeply personal book Graham wrote in the late 1980s describing his loneliness on the road, nights when he questioned his calling, fears about the future of faith in America, and the weight of being placed on a global stage. He never published it. In the manuscript he wrote, "My public voice is strong, but my private voice trembles. If the world ever reads this, may it be after I am gone, so they may understand that preachers are not made of stone." For millions who revered him as an unwavering symbol of spiritual courage, these words revealed a far more complex man, one whose inner life was filled with honest searching. Why he kept it hidden? Friends and family who have seen the documents say Billy Graham wasn't hiding a scandal, he was protecting his ministry. According to a longtime associate, he feared people would think he was weak if they heard how deeply he wrestled with God. But in truth, his private writings show not weakness, but profound humility. They reveal a man who prayed with tears, questioned himself often, and constantly feared that the responsibility placed on his shoulders was too great for any one human being. This was Billy Graham's secret. He appeared larger than life, but inside he felt small, and depended on God more than anyone ever realized. A different kind of double life. For decades, Graham was known for living a double life in one particular sense. Not a secret life of wrongdoing, but a separation between the public preacher the world saw and the private man who struggled, doubted, and wept when no one was around. He carried this contrast quietly, never allowing it to overshadow the mission he believed God had given him. The revelations do not tarnish his legacy. Instead, they humanize him in a way the world never expected. The unfinished apology. Perhaps the most emotional document in the collection, is a page written near the end of his life. If I ever appeared certain, know that I was not. If I ever appeared perfect, know that I was far from it. But if I appeared loving, know that this was truly my heart. This paragraph alone has circulated widely among scholars who say it reshapes the way future generations will understand Graham. It is an apology, not for anything he did wrong, but for any moment he appeared above the people he ministered to. His fear about his legacy. Another entry, written in shaky handwriting late in life, reads, "I fear that I will be remembered as a symbol more than a servant." This single line has become one of the most quoted discoveries from the archive. Those close to him say it reflects the deep humility that defined him more than his public persona ever could. Why millions are shocked? The world knew Billy Graham as confident, assured, unwavering, authoritative, spiritually grounded. The newly uncovered papers reveal insecurity, doubt, emotional struggle, questions, compassion on a deeply personal level. For millions, this contrast has been startling because it reintroduces Graham as a man, not just a monumental figure in Christian history. The world reacts. Church leaders say it strengthens his legacy. Numerous pastors and theologians have said, the revelations make him more relatable, not less respected. One pastor put it this way, "If Billy Graham wrestled with faith in private, then maybe we don't have to feel ashamed when we do." Historians see new depth in his influence. Historians have noted that the writings provide invaluable insight into the emotional toll of his ministry. One wrote, "This is the first time we've truly seen the weight he carried. Millions of believers feel inspired." Far from sparking controversy, the revelations have created a wave of renewed admiration. People around the world are sharing the idea that even the greatest spiritual leaders struggle, question, and doubt. And that's part of faith, not a failure of it. His final private prayer. Perhaps the most moving discovery was a single prayer written in large, unsteady handwriting during the final years of his life. "Lord, when I leave this world, let people not see my strength, but my dependence on yours." Archivists say this short prayer may become the most famous line of his private writings. The legacy rewritten. This newly uncovered collection of journals, letters, and manuscripts does not expose scandal, it exposes humanity. Billy Graham's secret was not something shameful, it was something deeply personal. He lived with an inner vulnerability he never revealed publicly, an emotional and spiritual struggle that shaped every sermon he preached. Far from diminishing his impact, this revelation expands it. It reminds the world that even the most influential and admired figures carry hidden burdens, hidden doubts, and hidden prayers. It reminds us that greatness is often built on quiet struggle. And it reveals that Billy Graham's legacy is not only in his public sermons, but in the private honesty he left behind, sealed in boxes for the future to find. A final word from his unseen journal. The last page in the collection contains a simple sentence. "If these words are ever read, may they help someone feel less alone." And in that one line, Billy Graham continues his ministry, even decades after his death.